What's going on, everyone? Clay here, and I have a very unpopular gaming opinion that I have to share with you. I loved the Wii U gamepad. It honestly felt better in my hands than the Switch does, thanks to the overall size. Which is why I have been searching since launch for ways to add a little bit more mass to Nintendo's hybrid console. There are countless grips to add bulk to the Switch, but I was looking for something a little bit more. Then HORI stepped in and released the Split Pad Pro alongside Daemon X Machina. Now, admittedly, at first glance, these things look a little bit wacky, but today we're going to take a closer look at them. So, let's do it. Right out of the box, HORI gets straight to the point. The only thing included here are the left and right pieces of the Split Pad Pro and a multilingual instruction manual, mainly useful for programming the two buttons on the back, but we'll get to that later on. The very first thing you'll notice is that the Split Pad Pro looks like a Pro controller cut in half. After that, you'll realize how light these things are, and that's because of the lack of NFC, gyro, rumble, IR, and even a lack of a battery. Because much like HORI's other DPad JoyCon offerings, these cannot be used off of the Switch. They have to be connected at all times for them to be functional. They also lack the ability to wake the console up unless you push the home button immediately after putting the console to sleep. If you wait longer than roughly 10 seconds or so, this home button, it's not doing a thing. Sliding these onto the Switch is pretty simple and straightforward. Just like any other Joy-Con, they slot right into the side railings and come off easily with the button release on the back. A little interesting thing I noticed when putting these on is that they even took the time to include a fake sync button, fake LED lights, and fake shoulder buttons. I'm not really sure why, but it's a nice little touch, I guess. Something I always wonder about with third-party controllers is how the triggers, sticks, D-pad, and buttons are going to feel. HORI's sticks are a little bit larger than the standard Joy-Con, and they're also concave, which makes these feel just a little bit better than those official Nintendo Joy-Cons. HORI has designed these in such a way that they appear to not be prone to the dreadful Joy-Con drift. The face buttons and triggers are very tactile and responsive. The triggers themselves don't feel like they have very much travel, but they're also not overly sensitive. You don't get that satisfying click from the face buttons, but you're also not dealing with soft, mushy, or gross feeling buttons either. They are responsive and, despite lacking a nice click, offer a solid feel. Other buttons across each pad, like the plus, minus, screenshot, and home buttons, are actually more of a rubbery soft material rather than hard plastic like the rest of the face buttons. These feel a little off when compared to the rest of the controller, but are just as solid and responsive. The D-pad here is fine. Nothing close to feeling like an 8-bit DOE D-pad, but slightly better than HORI's D-pad left Joy-Con releases. It's better than the button D-pad on the standard Joy-Con, just nothing to write home about. I mean, like I said, it's fine, it gets the job done, and it doesn't suck. Plus, it's better than not having a D-pad at all. On the back side of each pad, HORI included a programmable button that can be mapped to any button press on the same side. Programming the button is fairly straightforward. You press and hold the assign button, then press the button you want assigned to FL or FR. You see a light turn on if this is done correctly. If you want to unassign it, press and hold the assign button again while pressing FL or FR, and that light will turn off. The same goes for the added turbo function. Simply press and hold turbo, then press the button you want turboed, like jumping in Super Mario World. If you don't want to have to keep pressing the button, press and hold turbo and tap the same button again for the controller to do it on its own. And if you no longer want to jump repeatedly for infinity, then press the same button combo to turn it off. There is a light indicator here as well. The Split Pad Pro also has a slight texture to it to help it feel just a little less slippery. By no means do I think that this is slick enough to slide right out of your hands, but that soft touch feel that adds a little stability in the hand isn't here with this one. So anything to help that is welcome. Now, I've got pretty big hands, and since the launch, I've always thought that the Switch has been just a little bit too small. With removable Joy-Cons in my hand, the Switch feels a little flimsy and just a touch too thin. Don't get me wrong, I love the size for portability purposes, but hand fatigue is a thing, and I get it a lot playing in handheld mode. I know there are numerous third-party grips like Satisfy to help with that, but I absolutely loved the size and feel of the Wii U gamepad, and always wanted to mimic that with the Switch. Now, I will admit that sliding these onto your Switch isn't gonna be for everyone, because they do make the console pretty big. I would have loved to have seen some sort of rumble included here. It didn't have to be HD rumble, plain Jane simple rumble would have been just fine. Just know that if you spring for these, you're missing out on rumble, gyro, NFC, IR, and even a battery. But for me personally, most of that doesn't matter, and I really don't care that they have to be connected in order to work. The biggest misstep in my eyes is the missing rumble. Everyone's different. Some people might not like rumble, some people may want gyro more than they care about the rumble, and that's fine. For me personally, the rumble is the big issue. Overall, I have to say that despite its missing features, HORI's Split Pad Pro is exactly what I was looking for. It adds the size and the form factor to the Switch that I have been looking for since 2016. You get a solid D-pad, responsive buttons, smooth analog sticks, easy triggers, and even a programmable third trigger on the back. Not to mention, you can still dock this thing with the split pads still connected, something that most third-party grips can't do. I realize this isn't going to be for everyone. A few people I let take a look at this said it was too big for their hands, and that's completely understandable. It is big. But if you're like me and you find the Switch to be just a little too small, this may be a good solution for you. As long as you're fine giving up that NFC, the gyro, and the rumble. Which, if I'm honest for how good this feels, I'm fine giving up all of those things. I don't need them here. Now, if any of you out there have gotten these and tried them out, I'd love to hear your thoughts on those down in that comment section below. And until next time, take care everyone.